Pickets Jen. Today we're going to be making a wooden Christmas tree, or a wooden tree. You can turn it into whatever you want, but this is actually going to be for Christmas purposes. And what I've done is my trunk of my tree is made from just a scrap piece that I had laying in my pile, but equivalent wise, if you were to go buy a piece, it would be like a 2x3. All right, and mine is cut to 93 inches, so this is going to be a really big, tall tree. I have made smaller ones. This is just an example of one of the smaller ones I made. This is the one I made last year, and I make them out of fence pickets. So you can go to your local home improvement store, lumberyard, whatever, and these are the cedar pickets that are 6 foot tall, or like 5.5 inches wide, and then they're just over ½ inch thick. So this is what I use for my trees. I also use the 4-inch pickets for the smaller trees as well. You could use it for a bigger tree, but the pickets are what I use for the trees. I've already cut a couple pieces out for this tree, but in all I'm going to need 14 pieces. So what I'm going to do is, you have to choose an angle. So I've made several different trees using different angles. This one here, for today's purpose, we're going to be setting the saw to 22.5 degrees. And that's the angle we're gonna cut on. And then I did a little math and figured out that, you know, I was gonna go 77 inches of tree, and if each piece is 5.5 inches, what the width and length of each piece was gonna have to be. So I've got those measurements ready. I'm gonna go ahead and go to my saw, cut the pieces. All right, so this is my saw, and if you can look down through here, there's 22.5. I'm going to slide my blade, whatever this thing is, I'm going to slide it over and set it so that it's on 22.5, and that's what I'm going to cut all my boards on. Just in case you don't understand what I'm talking about, I thought I would show you. So I went ahead and made my first cut at the angle, and I had to trim off the end just so I could get my angle. And then what I'm going to do, instead of switching the blade back and forth to get my angle, I'm just going to flip my board over. So if I take my board and I flip it over, okay, all the measurements that I'm taking are from the long side. So you have a short side and you have a long side. So all of my measurements are based on the long side. So when I go over here and measure, for instance, this piece that I'm getting ready to cut is 8.25. I've already made a mark here, so I know when I cut, my long side's going to be here, and then it will cut in and make that cut for me. So that's what I'm going to do next. Okay, let's talk about these measurements. There are 14 total pieces. You can probably get away with getting 3 of these pickets, and if you plan out your measurements just right, you'll only need 3 pickets. I actually used 4 because I did not plan out very well, so I have some extra cutoffs that I can make other projects out of. But if you plan and do a few of the short pieces along with a few of the larger pieces, you will be able to get this whole project out of 3 of those pickets and your trunk, which is your 2x3, okay? So for like under $15, you can make this tree. Measurements. I'm just gonna read them down 1 through 14, okay? 6.5, 8.25, 10, 11.75, 13.5, 15.25, 17, 18.75, 20.5, 22.25, 24, 25.75, 27.5, and the last one is 29.25. So those measurements are for the long side, okay? So there's a short side, a long side, so the measurements are the long side. I think that's about it. What I'm going to do is I am going to use some liquid nails or construction adhesive. I was going to use wood glue, but then I thought if I actually use the tree and put it outside, I really want something that's going to hold it together. So I'm going to get some construction adhesive. I'm going to use my brad nailer in addition to the adhesive, and just put my pickets on my my 2x3. I'm gonna eyeball it. I don't ever measure. I just start at the top and work my way down, eyeball it, and usually it looks great. So that's what I'm gonna do. When I get it all put together, I will stand it up and show you what it looks like. The base of it is probably gonna be some kind of a bucket. that I can put concrete in so that it can stabilize this tree because it's pretty tall.
Okay, I have all 14 pieces here. I actually decided to go ahead and paint them. So I thinned out some green latex paint and I painted the front and the back. And I painted my trunk piece brown and just sprayed it brown. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the top with this piece, the first piece. Just going to eyeball it, center it up. And then I actually have some liquid nails I'm going to put down. And since I don't have any gaps, I'm just going to run a bead of liquid nails all the way down the center of the trunk. And then tack on these pieces with my brad nailer. So that's what I'm going to do.